Hi guys, this is Klazart and welcome to Game 3, the final game of this best of 3 series in the World Cyber Games Korean Qualifiers round of 8. We've got Bisu against Flash, and I've got to be honest with you guys, the series hasn't lived up to its billing for me thus far. Bisu in control game 1, Flash taking game 2 comfortably in both games. The victory happened not because of stunning play from the victor, but because of lackadaisical performances from the loser. In game 1 we had Flash just sit back and sit back and sit back forever, scouting late, not really making an effort to put any pressure on his opponent, and then just being danced around like a string on a puppet by Bisu and losing eventually to a pretty comprehensive strategy. Although I think Bisu played reasonably well in that game, I don't feel he had to push himself to achieve that victory. Game 2 was similar, Bisu going for a DT rush that wasn't really much of a rush, and I think epic fail is probably the right words to describe the conclusion of how he executed that strategy. Let's hope for a more exciting finish to the series. Game 3, these two are some top-notch players. Let's hope they can put out a top-notch performance. We've got Bisu here in yellow at the 3 o'clock position. We've got Flash at the 9 o'clock position in orange. And actually, just as I start this commentary, there have been comments made by some of you guys that the reason why some of the male Korean fans might be hiding their faces is perhaps because the lady they're sitting beside is not the lady they're meant to be sitting beside, if you guys can catch my drift. So kudos to whoever it was that made that comment. And I've got to agree with you a lot on that. I think that's hilarious. Anyway, we've got Rax and Refinery starting up for Flash. Bisu's put his pylon down. Looks like Bisu might be going for a 12 Nexus again here, folks. He's not built anything else. Yep, that probe is sitting there. Bisu going for what worked for him in game 1. He felt, well, it worked. Flash didn't put any pressure on me. He didn't scout. And it'll be interesting to see if it works again this time around. Flash going for his standard build. Flash, I think, has gone for the same strategy in every single game thus far. In game 1 and 2, he went for one fact into CC. It'll be interesting to see if he does that again this time around. Bisu now starting up his gateway, and he should be sending his probe out to scout. This time Flash scouting a little bit earlier, so he should be able to see that 12 Nexus and has a chance to perhaps change his strategy and commit a little bit more resources to building up his military early on. This time Flash actually, yeah, looks like Flash was about to pull that SCV off the gas there and only keeping the one SCV on it again. So it looks like he is looking to expand again after he's gotten enough gas to start up that first factory. And this time he is going to spot the Nexus from Bisu because he scouted at a decent time, and it'll be interesting to see whether Flash persists with his original strategy or how he reacts to what Bisu was doing, whether he puts back some SCVs on gas or whether he's kind of already committed to the strategy. Now Flash is putting a Marine there at that choke to prevent Bisu from getting that scout through, and he is going to deny Bisu that scout, although Bisu, I think, is probably correct in assuming that Flash's choice of strategy is going to be yet again one fact into CC, and I feel that Flash has just been far too predictable in the series, and I think that's been, and yeah, Flash to stop mining the refinery as the observer trying to show us with that mouse drag. I've got to say, the StarCraft observers very rarely miss anything of interest. They're fantastic, these guys. It's harder than it looks, guys. If you comment on replay, you'll find it's actually harder than it looks. Bisu now sending that, still trying to get that probe scout into Flash's base. Flash sending a bunch of SCVs out, 4 or 5 SCVs. I wonder what he's trying to do. Is he trying to rush Bisu with those SCVs? And Bisu's seen those SCVs with his probe. So what is Bisu's reaction going to be? Flash has gone nuts. I was talking about him being predictable, but Flash is doing an SCV rush. He's going to send some SCVs around to try and fight Bisu and perhaps build a bunker and try and get a Vulture in there to support. He needs to keep his first SCV alive, though. Flash has gotten that SCV and Marine trapped, and they both get taken out. That's gonna suck for him. That's gonna really end that attempt that he was trying to do. Now trying to use those SCVs to protect that Marine. So Flash this time scouting Bisu's build, trying to react to it. Now got a second Marine out. Now trying to build a bunker with that SCV, trying to protect that Marine from that Zealot. Bisu bringing the probes back around, trying to circle those Marines from behind. One of the Marine dies. Third Marine dies as well, and Flash is not going to be able to get anything in that bunker. And Flash Bisu's just completely out microing him here. And remember, Bisu, we know that he's got the multitasking skill, and Bisu brilliantly with a pylon block at Flash's choke, preventing that Vulture from coming in to reinforce, and that's going to end Flash's attempts. And actually, guys, you guys talk about me calling GG far too early, but with Flash committing all of those resources, committing I think 5 or 6 SCVs, as well as losing 3 or 4 Marines early on in the process to try and take that. Now he's pulling 4 SCVs back to try and take Bisu's 12 Nexus down and try and lock him, has unfortunately failed in doing so. And he did react, he did get the scout, he did try to react, but now that he's failed and committed so many resources to it, he's going to be even further behind on his economy. Now Flash trying to micro with those Vultures, trying to pick that Zealot off, but Bisu obviously with the Dragoon support for those Zealots. Flash with 3 Marines and 2 Vultures, Bisu coming bearing down upon Flash. Flash trying to focus that Zealot down. and he's doing a good job. He's now got 3 vultures in play. He needs to get a couple of spider mines out there as well, but he's going to take that first alert down. The second alert, this is decent micro. If only he'd been able to micro like this when he was trying to take Bisu's natural expert down. He's managed to take the 2 of the zealots down. The Dragoon fighting a retreating battle. Second Dragoon coming up to support him, and I think Bisu's going to be able to hold from here in terms of his defense. He's just going to be able to micro that Dragoon back, and he kills off only one vulture left, supported by 3 Marines. There were 3 vultures at one stage, and now another Dragoon popping around from Bisu, and Flash just doesn't have the army he needs. That vulture is going to continue to run on by and try and inflict some damage on Bisu's economy at his nexus. But Bisu has secured, I feel, a strong lead in this game, and it's going to be incredibly difficult. Flash trying to put a couple of spider mines down. Good spider mine there, actually. I'm surprised that the Marine escaped it. Now Flash with the vulture at Bisu's natural expo, but Bisu with a couple of Dragoons coming down, and Flash trying to put those spider mines down. Unfortunately, not able to get them down in time. Had he been able to get them down, he might have had a go at those probes, but Bisu would snipe those spider mines as they go down. Flash now trying to take his command center, but I feel he's behind in his economy now, and he hasn't inflicted any significant damage to Bisu. Now pulling his robotics facility, and it's going to be incredibly difficult for Flash to now come back in this game. Certainly more exciting StarCraft for both these 2 players. I have to commend Flash for the thought process behind what he was trying to do, but unfortunately his execution was lackluster on this occasion, and just not able to get that. If he'd kept that first SCV and Marine alive, that would have been huge, but Bisu bringing the probes out at the right time, getting the surround in, and again, Bisu's famous for his multitasking, and his micro was quite excellent in that battle. Flash showing some decent micro of his own later on, but unfortunately it was too little too late for him, and I feel he has everything to do in this game if he's going to come back and try and progress through to the next round. And you can see actually Flash with a lot more intensity in this game. Perhaps that win in the last game has given him hope. Perhaps he was perhaps that's what it took to fire him up and get him going, and he seems to be a little bit more fired up in this game. Bisu's been concentrating hard, I feel, throughout, even though his choice of strategy wasn't fantastic in game 2. I still felt that he was really trying. Flash with just I guess a drizzle of, I don't think drizzle is the appropriate word, but just a casual scattering of spider mines, acting really as his only defense. And he's got a couple of siege tanks now out in the field as well, but not really much. If Bisu came down with a decent sized army, Flash would have would struggle to defend it. Bisu now got the Citadel down as well as and we are going to probably be seeing that our